Good morning, Chattanooga. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Glad to be with you. I'm Alan Valenzuela. I'll be with you and your health this morning from 11 to 12 every Monday. Give us a call if you have any questions during this segment. If you're having any problems with pain, any dysfunctions that's keeping you from work, give us a call. Our call-in line is 423-800-8949. 423-800-8949. Again, we're going to be talking about you and your health. So if you're having any issues that have to do with physical ailments that are preventing you from getting up in the morning, getting out of bed, preventing you from taking a shower, preventing you from putting your clothes on, brushing your teeth, getting up and down from a couch or a chair, driving your car, something that's hurts you, that keeps you from getting to work. Any of those things, we want you to give us a call. I want to help try and answer those questions. I don't know everything. Sometimes when I'm home, my family thinks I'm a know-it-all, but I don't. I don't know everything. And so I will do this for you. If you call and you ask me something that I don't know, I'm going to go and research it for you personally. I'm going to make a concerted effort to get online, to talk to the people that work for me at Alliance Physical Therapy, and find out whether or not what's going on with your particular case. Having said that, this show is sponsored by Alliance Physical Therapy. Alliance Physical Therapy has locations all over the Chattanooga area, to include Cleveland, Hickson, Highway 58, Ottawa, North Georgia. Also, there's a location in Dunlap. So if you're having any difficulties, any pain, any discomforts, any loss of function, call Alliance Physical Therapy. You can reach them at 877-703-0011. That's 877-703-0011. Alliance Physical Therapy. And the reason why I give you that number is because Tennessee is a direct access state. And what that means to you, and this is important, so take note of this. If you're in pain or some type of dysfunction, 877-703-0011, and you will get the corporate office. And you will tell them, I'm in pain and I really need to get in and see a physical therapist today. And so what they'll do is they will direct you to one of the clinics, or they will personally make a phone call to one of the facilities, and they will attempt to get you into one of those facilities. So it's kind of like an emergency room, but even better. The difference is this. If there's a facility that's really close to you, they may be booked up and it may be very difficult for you to get into that particular facility. But there may be another facility that will be able to accept you right away. And so they're going to get on the phone and they're going to try and get you in a facility that will accept you right away to help you deal with whatever problem that you're having. In so doing, you'll go and you'll have an evaluation, or you'll get a free consultation. That's another nice thing. You get to go in there and have a free consultation. And then from there, if you need an evaluation, they go to the evaluation and help you out with your insurance. After you finish your first evaluation and treatment to help you get out of this pain, discomfort that you may be having, they will direct you to a facility that's closer to you. So that way, if you have to have further treatments, you will be able to go to a facility that is closer to you for the rest of your treatments. So again, because of direct access in the state of Tennessee, what that means is that you don't need a referral. You can go directly to a physical therapist and receive treatment. And physical therapists are your musculoskeletal experts. They're the ones that will evaluate you and put you through testing to see what you have done to yourself or what has become of an accident that you may have had. And they will do the necessary workup to help you with the problem you have. Now, if in fact your problem requires a specialist like a physician or an orthopedic, then your physical therapist is trained to do the testing and to find out whether or not you have problems that are outside of the scope of their licensure. And when they find this out, they're going to send you to your physician or to the appropriate medical person or facility. And they will do it without hesitation, because the last thing they want to do is to perform some type of treatment on you that is actually going to do you more harm than good. So If it's necessary for you to go to your physician, your physical therapist is trained to get you there. If your insurance, in fact, requires a referral, then the Alliance staff has been educated to help you get that referral. So insurances like Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example. If you're a Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance carrier, then you will be able to go to a facility without a referral, and your insurance is going to cover those treatments. But if you have Medicare as your primary insurance, then you will not be able to do that. You will be able to go to the facility, and you will be able to get a free consultation by a licensed physical therapist. And then after that free consultation, that therapist or their coordinator will get on the phone with you if you and your therapist have decided that, yes, therapy is what you want to do to help your problem. They will get on the phone with your physician. And if you don't have a physician, they'll help you find a physician or help you choose a physician, direct you to the right facility or doctor that would be able to help your particular need. And then at that point, they will be able to help you get the referral to satisfy the need of your insurance company. So again, Tennessee is a direct access state. If you're in pain, don't wait. Go see a physical therapist. Maybe you don't want to go to the emergency room, but we're going to talk on that just a second here. Go see a physical therapist. There's a good chance that your physical therapist is going to say, hey, you should go to the emergency room. So having said that, I got a phone call or text late last night from a friend who said one of my friends was doing exercises at home and feels like they have torn their muscles and they can't lay down. I told them to contact you. Would it be okay if they contact you? And I said, of course. And for those of you that don't know, again, I'm Alan Valenzuela, and this is Nooga Radio. I am a licensed physical therapist, and I've been practicing physical therapy for the past 26 years. So I get this call, and I said, yes, have them call me. So the person calls me up, and he starts describing his injury to me. And based on his description of the injury, two things went through my mind. Number one, he has torn something, okay, with the amount of swelling that he says that he's having in the location he's having, and he's possibly herniated something. So I told him right then and there, listen to me. There's no way for me to diagnose you over the phone. I'd have to see you, but honestly, just based on what you have told me, I'm going to send you need to go to the emergency room. You need to go get this cleared. And I'm telling you this story because oftentimes we sit here and we think, oh, I don't want to go spend any money going to the emergency room. This will get better. But in fact, that is a bad option. You are your most valuable asset. I'm going to say it again. You are your most valuable asset. Without you, you can do nothing. Stop worrying about, most of us, we all do it. Okay, I'm in the same boat. Stop worrying about the cost of health care. When you think about the things you spend money on every single month, and then you think about the fact that you don't want to spend money on yourself, your most valuable asset, you're making a very serious mistake. When you do that, you run the risk of several things. You run the risk of not being any good to yourself. You're afraid of spending money on yourself, on health care, okay, thinking, okay, this might go away, when in fact, you could be potentially losing the very thing that you're worried about spending money on. So you don't go to a doctor, the injury you happen is severe enough, and you die from it. God forbid that would happen to anybody, but it does happen. Well, you can't go to work now. You were worried about spending money on yourself, and in fact, now you can't go to work. Or less extremes, obviously, such as you are out of work, and you happen to have a job that doesn't pay PTO. You don't get paid time off. And so you lose, for every hour that you're not at work, you lose that monetary value. You lose the income that you normally get. And let's say that you didn't go to the emergency room and you happen to be out. It takes you 2 weeks to recover. So you lose 2 weeks of pay. And maybe you live paycheck to paycheck. And now you can't afford gas to go back to work, or you can't afford to pay the electric bill that just came due the day before you had your accident. It's not a good thing to not spend money on you, your most valuable asset, when an injury occurs. You need to get to the emergency room, and you need to get there right away. If you have any questions, have any issues that are happening to you in your life that have to do with dysfunctions and pain, give us a call. We're at 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. You're listening to Nooga Radio. I am Alan Valenzuela, and this segment is You and Your Health from 11 to noon every Monday, and it's sponsored by Alliance Physical Therapy. So again, you are your most important asset, and so you need to take care of you. And we spend so much money taking care of our cars and our iPads, and cell phones, and these little things that are not that important, and yet we won't spend the money taking care of ourselves. So when you have an injury, get to the emergency room or get to your primary care physician right away if it's severe enough. Okay. Now, there are times when it's not severe enough. And those times, it might not be a bad time to give Alliance Physical Therapy a call. Go over there, see a licensed physical therapist, get a free consultation, and have him or her help you decide whether you need to be at a doctor's office or whether you need to be at an emergency room. Okay. And I'll tell you another thing. So I can be reached at Alliance Physical Therapy at their number, 877-703-0011, 877-703-0011. You're listening to me on the radio, and so you're important to me. I'm not just here for my sake. I'm here for your sake. And so if you'll call that 800 number and you'll say, hey, I listened to Alan on the radio, and he told me I can give him a call. Will you please give him my name and my phone number and have him give me a call? I've had an accident or I've got this problem, and I just would like to talk to him and see what he thinks I should. Again, Alan Valenzuela, call 877-703-0011. So if you're having any issues, call my business office. They're gonna forward that number to. They're gonna call me or they're gonna text me with your name and number, and I'm gonna call you back as soon as I can. If I don't call you back within a reasonable amount of time and your problem is severe enough, do not hesitate. Get yourself to the emergency room or get yourself to your primary care physician. All right. Having said that, we're going to talk a little bit more about physical therapy here in a second. We're going to talk a little bit about traction. Some of you out there may have had traction. You've heard about traction, or decompression, as it's now referred to these days. Honestly, I've studied them both, and there's really not a difference between the two. And I'm sure somebody would want to argue that point with me, and I'm sorry if I've opened a can of worms there. But traction, decompression, same thing. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But I did want to talk to you a couple of things that are going on. I know that you've probably heard this, and if you haven't, a little concerned about what's going on in California. Would like to keep those people in our prayers. They've just had 10 inches of rain, and they're about to have a even more severe storm than they've had in Northern California. And I read somewhere where the storm clouds were like larger than 1,000 miles. And that's huge. So we're talking about a state that's been in a drought for years and years. And I've read somewhere where I think it was 40 years. And so you can just imagine, people's homes where they don't get that much rain. Their roofs are probably giving way. A lot of people are going to spend a lot of money on replacing their rooms because that material is now contracting and expanding in ways that it has not done for years. I know my brother lives out here and told me, we are going to have to replace our roof. We've got leaks like crazy, and these homes haven't had to have that. So I'm feeling really bad for the people out in Northern California and California in general. The amount of rain, the mudslides that are occurring there, the roads that are collapsing. So they're at high risk for some serious injuries out there. If you have time, keep them in your prayers. They really need it. Here's another thing in California that I read this morning that is interesting. The traffic and Southern California is the worst traffic in the world. And I was just talking to this just recently and just telling people, because I was out in California in January about 2-3 weeks ago with my family. My wife and my daughter were running in the white light side of the force Disney Star Wars marathon, and it took us 3 to 4 hours just to travel 30 miles on a straightaway interstate. And there was no interstate I could get on that wasn't that way, going in any direction. At night when we traveled, there are so many overpasses and intersecting interstates. There could be 8 of them in one area, and I hope I'm not exaggerating, but quite a few crossovers. And if you're driving in the right direction, the traffic is at a standstill, and all you see is these long tails of red lights forever and ever and ever. And it's a wonder that that there isn't a high amount of road rage and killings on the interstates there. God forbid. It's just so much crazy traffic. So if you're ever traveling to Southern California, just know that the traffic there is crazy. And here's some of the statistics. 104 hours. People that live in California, 104 hours are spent in traffic at a cost of $1,400 to each one of those drivers or each one of those vehicles. So, I mean, that's just a huge amount of time, unnecessary hours that are being spent in traffic. Craziness out there. I am so grateful to be living here in Chattanooga. I know that you are. If you've ever been in traffic in Chattanooga, I think one of the greatest areas that gets traffic is the interchange between 24 and 75 as it splits off to Atlanta. I don't know. The longest I've ever had to stay there was probably 10 minutes to get to where I was going. Some of you may have been a little bit worse, but it's not 3 hours. It's not crazy amount of time. Our traffic here isn't even, you can't even by definition call it traffic. So let's talk a little bit about traction. If you are having back pain, why or when would traction be appropriate? So again, any of you that are having back pain and want to ask questions, call us at 423-800-8949. You're listening to Nooga Radio. I'm your host, Alan Valenzuela. Happy to be with you this morning. And we're going to talk a little bit about traction. So traction, sometimes if you're older, you think about traction as a punishment device that was used in the dark ages to stretch people on the rack, if you would. Traction devices actually do kind of look like a rack machine. You get harnessed up in it. They put a harness around your chest area under your armpits, or they have you grab something to hold your upper body in place. And then they put a harness around your pelvic region. Okay. And then the device is hooked up and you're put in a position either laying face down or laying on your back. And then the device is, the tension is taken out. I mean, the slack is taken out of the device so that there's tension on there. And you can set this device in several different ways. One, you can set the device for the amount of time that you're going to be in the device. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 minutes. If you're going to see a really good physical therapist, they're going to set this thing anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes the first time you get in it with a light amount of tension. Because the last thing you want to do is injure somebody. So they want to build you up to what your body's tolerance is. So the amount of time that you're in there can be set, and the amount of tension. So if you have a problem in which your disc is causing impingement on a nerve and that's causing you pain, well, you want to traction that disc in a way that it takes the pressure off of the nerve. So a couple other things that you can do with the traction device. You can set it so that it's a constant traction. So let's just say that you're on this table. They've set it for 8 minutes and they have put it to 65 pounds of traction. So the device, once they push the start button, will stretch you, your spine, to about 65 pounds of tension. And when it does that, it kind of pulls on the bones in your vertebrae, and those bones are attached to the disc. And when it pulls on the disc, that disc elongates and flattens out. It would be similar to taking a round balloon and grabbing the ends of the balloon and pulling on the ends of the balloon, and the balloon would flatten out. The more you pull on, the flatter that balloon would get. And that's what your disc does. And so the bulging part that's pushing against the nerve flattens out, and it takes pressure off that nerve. And while you're in the device, it allows your body's healing properties to kick in so as to allow that nerve some relief. And if you're in there long enough, hopefully when the device lets you back into place, it will not have as much pressure on the nerve. Fluids will have been moved out of that area, and there'll be a little more room to accommodate that nerve so that there's no pain coming from that nerve either into your low back or into your pelvis area, your hips, or into your legs. Now, the device can actually be set to intermittent, so that it tractions you and then relaxes. So 1 minute on and 30 seconds off. 1 minute on, 30 seconds off. Now, one of the reasons to do this type of traction is twofold. We have a diagnosis in which the nerve becomes adherent to scar tissue. And when that happens, you want to kind of pull on that scar tissue and that nerve in such a way as to break it free, so that this nerve that's wrapped around by scar tissue or adhered to some bony surfaces breaks free, and it's actually moving the way it's supposed to naturally, and there's not as much pain. The other reason for intermittent traction is because with intermittent traction, your disc gets its nutrition through a process called imbibition. Okay? And imbibition is kind of like a sponge. When you put a sponge in water, it soaks up water. When you squeeze the sponge, it dispels water. Well, with imbibition, because the disc has its blood supply in the outer part of the disc, that's where the nutrition comes from. And so when the disc gets squished, waste products comes out of the center of the disc towards the blood supply and gets moved into your lymphatic system. And when the disc is decompressed, then blood shoots in from the outer annular wall into the disc. And this is the way the disc gets its nutrition. So intermittent traction helps the disc to stay healthy. And when your disc has become arthritic and desiccated, it's no longer healthy, and it collapses, and that causes your bones to come together and compresses nerves. And so by doing this intermittent traction, you can actually, in fact, make the disc healthier so that it separates the bones, opens up the spaces where the nerves pass. So intermittent traction is a great device. We didn't cover everything about traction. We're going to try and cover a little bit more in the next section here. But it is a great device that's used to deal with back pain. And if you've never tried it and you don't have insurance, another nice thing about Alliance Physical Therapy, who is the sponsor of this program, is they do have an out-of-pocket fee for their services. And with the deductibles being as high as they are and co-payment, their out-of-pocket fee is $79. It's very expensive to go see a licensed physical therapist to get better. So stay tuned. We're going to be back on, talk a little bit more about traction in the next segment of this hour. You and Your Health on Nooga Radio, Live Talk Radio. Thank you.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is the choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing, mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
What? Oh no, I can't believe my phone screen is cracked. I cracked it. I can't believe my screen is cracked. I need my phone.
Whoa. Slow down, wild man. We've got an easy solution. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. That's right. Your cell doctor in Ottawa, Cell Surgeon, most of the time can fix your smartphone on the spot. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. Cell Surgeon for all your cell needs. Most repairs are performed in less than an hour. TheCellSurgeon.com. Go to TheCellSurgeon.com.
Daisy, get my cell phone out of your mouth right now.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How would they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News, Russell Stroud reporting. Shots rang out on Saturday night after a heated argument and 2 people were gunned down. Hamilton County EMS took them both to the hospital with minor injuries. Investigators believe that 45-year-old Corey Moon is the man who shot them. Police say Moon left the scene of the shooting before the police got there, but they eventually tracked him down and arrested him. He's charged now with aggravated assault, attempted murder, and unlawful possession of a firearm. The police say that a man on Saturday was awakened by a burglar inside of his house with a gun. The intruder demanded money, but unfortunately for him, his victim was flat broke. So instead, police say he took a jacket and his cell phone and then left. Police say they tracked down Theodore Jablonski, 34 years old, wearing the victim's jacket. He was arrested and taken to the Hamilton County Jail. With early voting for the mayor and city council going on for 5 days now, the race is heating up. 3 candidates for city council are running unopposed: Ken Smith, Darren Ledford, and Carol Burrs for districts 3, 4, and 9. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Nooga Radio News.
Warming up out there through your afternoon with partly cloudy skies. Feels good. Highs lower 70s. Tonight, a few clouds. Lows only 50 to 52. For Tuesday, more clouds. High temperatures near 70. May see a late shower with scattered showers Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Now at CC's, take your taste buds on a ride with Philly cheesesteak pizza, Santa Fe chicken, and Kansas City pulled pork barbecue. New on the unlimited buffet, just $5 and change at CC's. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hello again, Chattanooga. This is Alan Valenzuela, your host. We are talking about you and your health. You're listening to Nooga Radio. This is talk radio. And it's always nice when somebody calls in and we can talk about your health and problems that you might be having. So You and Your Health is sponsored by Alliance Physical Therapy. Alliance Physical Therapy has locations all over Chattanooga, North Georgia on Battlefield Parkway. There's a location in Hickson on Hickson Pike, location on Highway 58, Ottawa on Old Lee Highway, right off of the interstate exit there, Paul Huff Parkway in Cleveland, and then there's a location in Dunlap. For those of you that live in the Dunlap area, there's a convenient location on, I think it's Rankin Road, which is the main road that goes through Dunlap. Not like there's a lot of roads there, small town. I love Dunlap. So Alliance Physical Therapy provides physical therapy services. Why would you want physical therapy? There's a lot of reasons. So to evaluate physical problems, to increase and maintain muscle strength and endurance, to restore and increase joint range of motion. So if you've lost the ability to move your knee, your ankle, your hip, even your neck, lower back, you'll want to go see a physical therapist. They're the experts in that. Increase coordination. So if you're having difficulty with walking specifically, something's going on with your vestibular functions, you can go see a physical therapy. They will help you out with what we call gait training to help you walk properly again. If you have some type of deviation in your gait, this might be coming from your back. It might be coming from your hip, your knee, your ankle. So their job is to figure out why you're having difficulty with your coordination. They're there to help you decrease pain. The only type of pain that you're probably not going to be able to get help with there is, and in some cases you can, if your pain is a byproduct of cancer or something like that requires a specialist to see. That's not the physical therapist's specialty. Their specialty is going to be with pain that comes from accidents, functional loss, trauma. They will help with swelling. So if you're having swelling in your legs or arms or any part of your body, they will help with joint swelling. So swelling that comes from arthritis. So if that's a problem, that's where you're going to want physical therapy. Again, alleviate walking problems. Physical therapy is a great stress reliever, and we'll talk about one of the programs that they have here in just a second, their wellness program that everybody can take advantage of. And there's just many things. So when we think about diagnosis that people may have, that physical therapy can help, here's some. So back pain, the number one reason people go to see a physical therapist is generally back pain, usually low back pain, and a lot of times cervical pain or neck pain. Fibromyalgia. What is fibromyalgia specifically? It's a catch-all term for just pain or being very sensitive and having pain throughout the body. This is a real thing. We see people with it all the time. It is a kind of a catch-all diagnosis when a physician, physical therapist doesn't quite know what's going on to you, but you have all the symptoms of fibromyalgia, and that's generalized pain and weakness and depression, tiredness, all these things. So your physical therapist can help you with headaches and migraines. Definitely want to go see them. They're really good at Alliance Physical Therapy with dry needling, which is really great to use when as a treatment modality when dealing with headaches and migraines. So neck pain, sciatica, so that's that pain you feel in your hip and down the back of your leg. Hand therapy, so diagnosis with the hand, sports injuries, pain management, any type of pain. So chronic, if you've had chronic pain, physical therapy will help with that diagnosis. Trigger point therapy, carpal tunnel, tendinitis, okay, stroke rehab. So any part of the body. Physical therapy can help with those types of diagnoses. So if you have poor circulation in your feet, they can help. They have modalities and different manual treatments that they can do to help people who have poor circulation. So again, Alliance Physical Therapy, why would you need physical therapy? Those are the reasons why you would need physical therapy. Don't hesitate to call Alliance. You can reach them at 877-300-0011. That's 877-703-0011. Give Alliance Physical Therapy a call. Get in there and see them today. They offer free consultations. That's right. I said free. Go in there, see a licensed physical therapist. Then they can help you decide what direction you want to take with your recovery process. You're listening to Nooga Radio. I'm Alan Valenzuela. Call us at 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. We're going to be talking about traction in this segment. We talked a little bit about it in the earlier segment. We're going to pick up on that again as the segment progresses. I do want to touch base on something that's really been pressing on my heart. And, you know, I wish that I had the ability to make a larger impact on a large group of people. I would love to see Chattanooga lead out in a way that this country needs to lead. We desperately need serious leadership. And I know people are sitting out there saying, leadership, that's not my thing. I wasn't born with that. Everybody was born with the ability to become a leader at whatever level. John Maxwell, I'm an speaker for John Maxwell team, part of the John Maxwell team. And one of the things that is really talked about is leadership. And John Maxwell wrote a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I'm going to just touch on that just a little bit, because there is way too much hate going on in the world, too much hate going on here in Chattanooga. And the bottom line is the only way that this is going to be overcome is that we as people have to make a difference. We have to start with ourselves. As the song goes, starts with the man in the mirror. We have to change who we are and become leaders so that we can make a difference for ourselves. Okay. And one of the first laws of irrefutable laws of leadership by John Maxwell is the law of the lid. We believe that because we weren't born with the talent of leadership, that it's not something we can do. And in fact, it is. What we did to ourselves is we put a lid on ourselves. We limited ourselves. We stuck this lid. So so you can follow my idea on this principle of the lid. When we talk about the lid, for me, I have a lid when it comes to eating carbohydrates. As you guys know, I am a food freak. I love food. I love to eat food like crazy, especially love donuts, cake donuts. I love cake donuts. But my body has a lid. It has a carbohydrate lid, and that lid is about 65, and I'm going to say it's in the range of 65 to 75 grams of carbohydrates a day, which would be like maybe one donut, maybe not even that. So it's not very much. And so I have to watch my lid so I don't go over my lid, so that I don't gain weight. Okay, so that's a lid. That's a type of lid. When we talk about leadership, we put lids on ourselves, and we say that, our lid is a 1 out of 10 and being in leadership. Other people say their lid is a 5 out of 10 and being in leadership. Other people are just natural born leaders, as we would say it, and they're 10 out of 10s. But everything can be cultivated. And why is this a big deal? Because to combat hate, you have to have leaders who are willing to lead people, to be positive, to encourage others, to specifically add values to others. And this can only happen if you add value to yourself. We need leaders to push their lid from a 1 out of 10 to a 8 out of 10. And I'm not saying that you're going to go be the mayor of Chattanooga. I'm not saying that you're going to be some city council member or the head of the PTA, but you might be. You might need to be. Because right now we need some people that are going to come in there and give a positive spin on life and dispel this hatred that's going on amongst us. We are fighting with each other. We are fighting with each other, and it's got to stop. I know that there are issues, but there are positive ways to deal with this issue without all the hate. And it's going to take some leadership. It's going to take every one of us being leaders within our own work groups, within our own families. All families that fall apart, that don't make it, that are destructive, self-destructive, is because there's not a leader in the home. The home needs a leader. And it's time for us all to become leaders, to push the lid, to become leaders. And when we do this, we become more productive. We become a part of society that society needs right now. And we can put a positive spin on the hate that's going on. Enough said with that. So again, push your lid up and let's become good leaders so we can make Chattanooga the leader of leaders in the United States to help the healing process that needs to occur. So we were talking about traction or decompression, okay? So this is a device that you are harnessed into, and the device is designed basically to stretch your spine, okay? So if you're having back pain, traction or decompression is a great modality for that. Now, your physical therapist, when you sit down and talk with them, will talk about whether or not your symptoms would be appropriate for traction. And they'll know right away. And every therapist is different. Some will say, like to use traction more than others or decompression more than others. And so based on the symptoms and their evaluation of your back problem, they'll say, yeah, this is good for you or not. Other therapists like myself, I've been practicing for 26 years. I like to use traction as an evaluation tool. Okay. So I put somebody on a traction device and I test them, their tolerance for it, and whether or not the traction helps alleviate their pain. And obviously it's common sense. If I put you on a traction device and I test you with constant traction, get you out of the device, stand you up, and you're still bad or you got worse swallowing, well, you're probably not a good candidate. Or I put you on the intermittent setting where it pulls you and relaxes you, pulls and relaxes, pulls and relaxes. And you stand up and you are worse or you are no better, then there's a good chance that you're not a good candidate. But if I put you on it and you have a positive outcome and you jump off the table and you're like, you are my best friend and I wish I had done this years ago, then you know that traction is going to be a great treatment modality for you. So traction is exactly what it says, or decompression is exactly what it sounds like. You get traction, you get pulled apart in your spine region. Okay, so what happens is a couple of things happen in the spine that causes you pain and injury. Number one, with traction, in the spine with injury, the disc itself can become desiccated. And when I say desiccated, it's kind of, I was just watching a movie last night called Frequency. It's actually a series on Netflix that was taken from the movie Frequency, and Dennis Quaid was the actor in that movie. And the whole premise in this movie is that Dennis Quaid is talking to his son in the future on a ham radio. And so as the show goes, one of the people, they're both police. His son is a police, he's a police, and they're trying to track down this killer that was a serial killer back in his time and is still a serial killer back in his son's time. And they go to find this killer, and in the house is a desiccated body. So after weeks and weeks of a body laying around, it starts to shrivel up because the fluid in there dries up. And so you start to get that no color and shriveled up, dried up look. And so any of you that have seen a body or corpse that's been found on TV, of course, that has been found weeks or months later, that's what they look like. And so I wanted to give you that picture because that's the picture of what happens to your disc. So when your disc has lost all its fluid, it becomes like one of those corpses. It desiccates and it becomes dry and brittle, and then it loses its size. And the disc is the one thing that separates the bone, the vertebrae from above, from the vertebrae below. Why that's a big deal is because the nerve in your spine runs down your spine, okay? And as it runs down your spine, it exits out the side of your vertebrae. And the vertebrae above and the vertebrae below make the whole. The two together move within each other, and they create that hole, or we call it the foramen, in which the nerve passes through. And when your disc desiccates, okay, those two bones come closer together, and that hole starts to get smaller, and it pinches on that nerve. And then you start having, in most cases, you start having low back pain, and you have sciatic pain running down your leg. And that's the reason why it happens, because the disc is desiccated. Now, there's a lot of reasons for disc desiccation: an injury, surgery, and you had scarring. You had a rupture, the disc hasn't helped. But one of the reasons for desiccation that's probably prevalent is lack of mobility. Your disc gets its nutrition through a process called imbibition. Okay? And imbibition is basically like an accordion. If I take an accordion and I squeeze it together, air goes out. If I pull it apart, air comes in. Air out as I squeeze it, air comes in. So your disc is the same way, only it's fluid that we're moving. As the disc squishes, fluid comes out. As the disc decompresses, fluid goes in. And because the disc has its blood supply in the outside wall of the disc, called the annular wall or the annulus, that's the only spot of the disc that actually gets blood supply. So in this process of imbibition, squeezing and decompressing, fluids move from the center to the annulus where the blood supply is and drops off waste products, and it goes in the lymphatic system and out your body. And then as it gets decompressed, fluids get sucked in towards the center, and it takes the nutrition from the blood supply to the center or the area of the disc that doesn't have a blood supply. And that's the way that disc gets healthy. So if you have an injury or you're an inactive person, discs start to desiccate because of lack of movement. So that's the big reason for discs desiccating. And when they desiccate, as we said before, they will collapse, and then they will put pressure on the spinal nerve. Okay? So what the whole point of that talk was about traction. Again, if you're having back problems and you think that you have an issue that I might be able to help you with, I want you to give me a call right now. 423-800-8949. 423-800-8949. You listen to Nooga Radio. I'm your host, Alan Valenzuela, sponsored by Alliance Physical Therapy. All right, and we've been talking about disc desiccation and what happens to discs when you don't move. They start to desiccate. They become brittle, and they decrease in size, and they put pressure, cause the bones above and below to put pressure on the nerve. One way in therapy to alleviate that is to put you on a traction table. Okay? So on a traction table, when you're set up, you're harnessed, and your upper body is harnessed, and your lower body, you're at your pelvic region, you're harnessed. Now the traction device can be set for a certain amount of time, 8, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Your therapist will know where to set it. And he can set it for the amount of traction that he wants. 30 pounds, 65 pounds, 75 pounds, 125 pounds, the amount of stretch that's going to put on your spine. He can set for how long it stays at 75 pounds, and he can set it, he or she, the therapist, can set it for how little it's going to be at its rest period, so it can be intermittent. So 60, 80 pounds for 1 minute, and then it relaxes for 30 seconds at 60 pounds. And he or she can adjust that to whatever level they need to based on their evaluation of your back problem. Now, we use intermittent specifically when we know that there is a high probability of disc desiccation, okay? Because what we want to try and do is prime this disc pump, okay? We want it to get back healthy again. So we want to create the accordion effect or the imbibition process of compression, decompression, compression, decompression. Push the accordion in, push it out, pull it out, in, out, in. So this device is tractioning you, it's stretching you, and it's compressing you, stretching you, compressing you, stretching you, compressing you. So this back and forth causes fluid to move into the disc and out of the disc, in the disc, out the disc. Waste nutrients move into the disc, waste products move out. Nutrients in, waste products out. This process over time will ultimately start to help with the healing process of the disc. Not every time. Sometimes your disc is so desiccated, there's nothing that can be done to help it, okay, other than surgery or back braces or other devices or modalities to deal with the pain. But the body is very resilient and does come up with very interesting ways to accommodate these type of disc collapses in the spine. But intermittent traction is one of the great ways to do it naturally, a natural treatment that recreates the compression, decompression of a disc to help it become healthier. And once it becomes healthier and accommodates that nerve that's being compressed, then you have a high probability of being relieved of the pain and dysfunction that you're having. And at that point, it's going to become very important for you to stay active. Because if you go back to being inactive, you're going to have the same problem that you had to begin with, and that disc has a higher chance, higher probability of desiccating again and creating the type of pain that you've been suffering from the fact that that disc has collapsed and the bone above and a bone below are compressing the nerve and causing you severe pain. So that's one way that a disc is able to do that. A traction device is able to do that. Another thing quickly that the traction device can do is a lot of times you have a herniated disc. It's bulging, and it's putting pressure on either the nerve that's exiting out to the side of the vertebrae or the nerve that's actually coming down. And because your disc is actually adhered to the vertebrae above and the vertebrae below, all the way up and down the spine, when you get stretched, it actually stretches that disc. So it's much like a round balloon. If you grabbed the part of the balloon where you've tied it up and you grab the tip of the balloon and you pull the balloon apart, you will actually get a round balloon that flatten out. It'll narrow. So imagine that in your spine as well when you're on a traction table. If it is bulging out like a round balloon and putting pressure on the nerve, then in fact, when you stretch your spine, that disc, like the balloon, will start to flatten out and the bulge will come off the nerve. And if you sustain that for a long enough time, you can actually get that bulge to cause nuclear fluid to move back into the center of the disc, which oftentimes is the reason for that bulge. So it's like jelly just got squished from the center of the disc to the outer wall, and it's causing the outer wall to be pushed. It pushes that back in place, okay? And so it takes the bulge down and takes the pressure off the nerve. Not every time is this going to happen, not in every case, but in many cases it will happen. It will take the pressure off of that nerve, and it will become relieved. And if you're on there long enough, you do this process long enough, you can make that disc healthier, reduce that bulge, and take the pressure off the nerve and restore the lack of function you're having. Why are these things so important? Because when you don't treat these type of problems, they become chronic. You become addicted to drugs. You have a high risk of high potential of having to have surgery that could cause even other problems. And you're not any good to yourself or to your family. Again, Chattanooga, let's become the leaders that this country needs. Let's become positive. Let's add value to the people we come across every day so that we can change the hate that's in this world. This segment is You and Your Health. I am your host, Alan Valenzuela. This is Nooga Talk Radio, and it's sponsored by Alliance Physical Therapy. Go see Alliance Physical Therapy if you are having pain. Thank you, and have a great day.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is the choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic